Thank you, Morgan and Chrissy. Today, we are very excited to have an update from Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. Joining us at FactSet as our special guest, Barbara Jo Howard, who is the Director of Communications and Marketing at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. Barbara Jo, thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I know this has been quite a month. How's everybody holding up there at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital? I know it's been a very trying time for everyone, and how's it going?
I'm inspired every single day that I come to work with incredibly awesome people who are brave and committed and dedicated and doing amazing things. And I'm just inspired every single day.
So we've seen the numbers. We know there are over 21,000 COVID patients in Suffolk County alone. How has the hospital mobilized for this pandemic? I mean, there's a lot that's changed there, I know. What would be the most dramatic change?
Well, definitely the bed count has been increased 100% from 94, which we're actively staffing, to 184, and actually have room for a little bit more. And we've also increased our ICU threefold from 7 to 21 beds. And we've recruited over 50 nurses and as well as 10 respiratory therapists as well to come in and to help us with regards to staffing. So,
how are you able to do that physically to increase capacity like that? How did you actually do that? And was it in adjunct buildings or was it inside the hospital?
It's all inside the hospital. So, for example, we have our cardio rehab area that it was filled with equipment. We completely moved that out and brought in beds and every single thing we needed in order to make that into a non-COVID area. And then in a lot of the other areas, such as where we did elective surgeries, those areas suddenly became COVID areas or additional ICU units.
Wow. So in terms of what is available, you said there are beds available, but in terms of the staffing, protective gear, we hear a lot about ventilators, in hospitals, especially in New York, that are needed. Where would you say Stony Brook Southampton Hospital is in terms of what you have and what you may still need?
We have adequate PPE, and at this point, with regards to vents, we've got adequate vents as well and availability. Of course, we are doing every single thing possible in order to build our stockpile of resources. And towards the end of this week, there are many different innovative projects that are going on, and we hope to be able to announce one that we have with regards to helping us further build our isolation gowns.
So let's walk through, if someone believes that they have coronavirus, whether they've already talked to their doctor or they contact the hospital, what happens? Do they show up? Do they call first? Just walk us through that process from someone thinking they have the coronavirus, and then from that to getting to the hospital, and then I guess possibly
Right.
being admitted.
Right. So it depends upon what your symptoms are. If you have mild symptoms, you should call your doctor and first converse with your physician as to whether or not you should go to the ED. However, if indeed you have a high fever and trouble breathing, then you should directly go to the nearest emergency department. If you're going to Stony Brook Southampton Hospital, you would be greeted by our outside triage area by a nurse who would give you a brief exam. Probably if you do exhibit symptoms, you would wear a mask and be escorted into the ED. And based upon that, a clinician will decide as to whether or not to administer a test, and depending upon the condition, whether or not to admit you to the hospital or whether to say that you should go home and remain isolated. So it's on a case-by-case basis.
What percentage of patients would you say are COVID related at the hospital now?
probably about, COVID, either confirmed and or under investigation.
Hmm.
So probably about 75%.
Okay. So now, what if someone has a serious but non-COVID related issue, and a medical emergency, perhaps, or episode, a heart attack, a stroke, they cut themselves terribly? How is that handled at the hospital? Are you still handling? I would think you were
Absolutely.
handling that.
Absolutely.
How does that
Yes.
work?
You come to the hospital, and the emergency department will immediately take you in. And as I said earlier, we do have an entire area in the hospital for non-COVID patients. Um, and people are still having babies. So we are 100% active in all areas with regards to emergency procedures.
But
And
is it a separate entrance? It's a separate entrance. Is the
it is
entrance separate from?
it is through the entrance, but it's you go through the triage area, but it is indeed different when you go
Right.
inside.
And are you? How do you handle visitors now? Or are we not doing that? Or
No visitors, like all hospitals throughout New York
yeah.
State. However, as of Friday, the the DOH, Department of Health, has stated that there are certain cases where a support person is permitted, and so those cases would be in the case of a delivery, maternity. You can select who that support person is. It could be your life partner, it could be your doula, whatever, but that person has to stay with you through the duration. Um,
Hmm.
Pediatric, of course, and those who
Mm.
have disabilities and or are intellectually perhaps impaired, such as having dementia. There are
Okay.
allowances to have them have support as well, and of course, end of life.
Mm. Well, speaking of support, I mean, we talk every day on Facts at Five about an act of kindness in our community, which is so strong, and this is such a trying time. And I know at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital that there have been so many acts of kindness, from people sending food to. Tell me some more about them. I just know the staff is amazing. I know the frontline healthcare workers, sleepless nights. It has to be emotional, physical, a drain. Can you talk about some of the things that have gone on there that have really been, I would say, heartwarming at a very hard time?
Well, first off, our staff, our healthcare team, and the entire staff is, as I said, absolutely inspiring every single day. The way that they work and they work together. What I, to be part of this community is so uplifting because the entire community gets together and will do every single thing in their power to make sure that the hospital has what it needs, as well as to demonstrate their appreciation. So it's been cards, it's been drawings by children, it has been food deliveries from local restaurants and residents that have offered to purchase food. It has been the parades at 7 o'clock that embrace the hospital by circling around the hospital and honking horns. And they include the emergency workers and the fire department and the police department and residents as well, with children in their cars and holding up signs. And that is so uplifting to our staff. It just is, it makes them feel so that they're not alone doing this on the front lines, that this community is behind them. And there has been a tremendous outpouring of generosity with regards to donating to help us buy supplies and also to find and locate supplies. And we do have a fund that has been set up, and that is the Health Heroes, and it is available. And you can, if you wish to make a donation or a gift, it is on our website, which is southampton.stonybrookmedicine.edu. There's a banner, you can click on that. And to date, it's raised $1.5 million, which is absolutely extraordinary and just goes to show how
Yes.
wonderful this community is.
I get chills just hearing about all the things that people are doing. I saw the videos. We're going to try to show those on LTV of the healthcare workers being saluted, of the children's artwork, and we will put at our end credits, where you can click on for more information and to donate, and especially the Healthcare Heroes Fund, which is so needed. I know that it's been an enormous expense to mobilize for all of this, and people want to help. In terms of that, I know the summer is a big question mark for everyone out in the East End,
Mhm.
who often has their fundraising, their major fundraising. Whether it's the big events that you have. How are you handling that? Are events basically on pause or canceled or rescheduled? Or I know
Well,
there's the ED barbecue. There's the main summer benefit in August. Yeah,
unfortunately, yes, that has been postponed. Edie's Backyard Barbecue, which happens every Memorial Day weekend, is sort of the kickoff to the summer season, is
yeah,
sadly postponed until next year,
yeah,
and
yeah.
which is unfortunate. And while it's not official as of yet, it looks at this point as if the hospital's annual summer party, which happens in
Right.
August, uh, will most likely be also postponed. However, the development team is really looking at creative ways to perhaps get engagement and create alternatives. So we'll see what we'll be doing, but it looks right
Yes.
now as
I think everyone has to think really outside of how this is going to go, outside the box. A couple more questions. I know you have the amazing new cancer facility, and I think a lot about people during this time who have to go through, treating cancer and having chemo, and during a time where the world is so frightening. On top of that, but it's a great resource on the East End that you have the new cancer center. Tell me, how is it being utilized? I mean, people are going there. I would still think now it's still. Um,
yes, indeed, the cancer center is open and fully operational. And in fact, we are seeing many patients from Stony Brook's Cancer Center who are now being taken care of in the Phillips Family Cancer Center here in Southampton, because the cancer center there has been converted to help with COVID patients. So we are that our cancer center is now operating 6 days a week.
wow. Well, I just know that this is our closest medical facility, and it has rallied beyond belief. And every time I read something or hear something about what's happening at Stony Brook Southampton, I'm cheered by it. And I know that at LTV we're happy to hear all these updates, and we support everything that you guys are doing. Is there anything you want to say to the local East End community, on
Thank
behalf of the hospital?
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. This being part of this community and serving this community is one of the great delights I know for everybody that I work with, and everything that this community is doing definitely bolsters the spirits of everybody working at that hospital, and they're working so hard, and together we will come out of this. Thank you.
Thank you. And we look forward to the outreaches in East Hampton. I know that are in the works too, in terms of the hospital. So keep us
Absolutely. So
posted.
we
You're always
absolutely
welcome to
that's
come
the
back, and your team. Yes,
take
ER is
good.
very important. Thank you very much, Barbara Jo Howard,
Thank you.
Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. Thank you.